Hi, my name is Chris Martens, and for today, our review subject is a flagship headphone from T+A called the Solitaire P. In the past, not too distant past, I served as editor of the Absolute Sound and Hi-Fi Plus's Ultimate Headphone Guide. As you might guess, this means I like headphones a lot. To introduce you to our review subject today, let me show you the headband strap of this headphone, which bears its name, Solitaire P. And as you can see, this is a very handsome planar magnetic headphone. It's open backed, and I hope this shows on camera, but the rear structure of the headphone is extraordinarily open. It's protected by a pressed metal mesh grill, so it's safe from prying fingers, but there's just not an awful lot blocking output to the rear. And this is, of course, how open back headphones, the really good ones, are able to achieve a tremendously transparent and often highly dynamic sound. And such is the case with the Solitaire P. By the way, don't know if this shows up effectively on camera or not, but the rim of the driver cup is made of milled aluminum and done in a finish much like metal-bodied cameras used to use, so that it just, to the fingers, it just reads as elegant and perhaps expensive. So be it. The idea behind the Solitaire P is to use an extremely thin diaphragm and magnets that are, and again, this may or may not show clearly on camera, but they're sort of rod-shaped magnets that are held very precisely in a frame. And so they don't move around a lot, and there's not much in the way of dimensional wandering, if you will. This all helps with the precision of the sound that's achieved. And as you can perhaps see, there are jacks in the back side of the ear cup that allow you to exchange cables. Now, the headphone comes with several different cables, but the ones that I used almost exclusively for this review were ones terminated in a 4-pin balanced XLR connector, which perhaps you can see here in the background, plugged into the T+A amplifier. Let's just jump right in to talk about the performance of this headphone. I sometimes like to come up with one word or short phrase descriptors for audio products I'm trying to review. And the one I came up with for the Solitaire P is the great differentiator. And here's what I mean by that. With a lot of headphones, even sometimes very, very good ones, you can listen to a track and be left with a certain amount of uncertainty. I'm not quite sure what to make of what I just heard. Let me tell you, that pretty much never happens with the Solitaire P. The Solitaire P is one of those designs where, for instance, you could work with an amplifier such as T+A's own headphone amp that have multiple digital filtering options, all of which sound fairly similar, or they do until you listen to them through the Solitaire P. And what you suddenly find is, oh my goodness, I have the sense that I know exactly what each one of these filters is doing. And that's not an experience or a kind of sonic certainty that all headphones can provide, not even some very, very good ones. So this is perhaps a roundabout way of saying that this is a very revealing headphone, yet one that does not beat you about the head and shoulders with detail or, man, listen to that transient response or listen to this other sonic characteristic. In fact, as you listen to the headphone, you might find, as I did, that it's in a way hard to characterize its sound because it's so transparent to the source, so that whenever you would go to comment on the headphone, what you were really commenting on was the recordings you were playing. And that's actually very high praise, even if it means that the headphone doesn't always give you a wow factor where there's a particular sonic characteristic you can hang your assessments on. This is not like that. This is more, hi, I do holistic performance, and on good recordings, you'll love it. On bad recordings, well, you won't love it as much. Hope that helps give you a little bit of a feel for the character of this headphone.
Just a brief interruption, esteemed viewers. As you may know, I'm Tom Martin, Chief Content Officer of the Absolute Sound. We have a new product. It's on the Substack platform, and we're going to do some interesting things with Substack. First of which is reader questions and answers. Each Monday, readers will submit questions. We'll pick the most interesting ones and we'll answer the questions on Friday. We'll also have early access to articles and special blogs that don't appear anywhere else. We hope you'll join us. It's only a cost of a cup of coffee per month. Just check on the screen or in the show notes below. Thanks, and now back to the show.
Let me give you an example of the Solitaire P when it's operating at its best, which is to say, with a really good recording. And the recording I'd like to reference is actually an old one. And when you first hear it, you may be amazed at how good it is because it dates back to time before many of you were born and time when I was actually young. And we, people of my generation, that is to say, loved the movie Bullitt. And the soundtrack of that movie, by Lalo Schifrin, has some real gems. And one such gem is the track Ice Pick Mike, which is the track that leads into the famous car chase in Bullitt. And as you listen to that recording through the Solitaire Ps, you may be struck, and I know I was struck, by how dynamic the recording is, by how just plain superb its bass elements are, and by the delicacy of its percussion. I mean, there's some hi-hat work on that track that will just blow your mind, or at least it does mine. And, you can just, in your mind's eye, see Steve McQueen focusing in on that jet black Dodge Charger and starting to pursue it through the streets of San Francisco. But with this particular track, you understand that in many respects, a soundtrack can, if anything, be more important than what you're seeing on screen. And the Solitaire P just takes you right to the root of that experience. I mean, if you don't feel anticipation and excitement and a good bit of apprehension as this track unfolds, something's wrong. But that's not going to happen with the Solitaire P, because it's just going to show you every little musical trick Lalo Schifrin introduces to kind of ratchet up your involvement in that car chase, which many people would say is almost the heart and definition of that movie. So my point is, the Solitaire P's ability to show you everything that's going on in a track and to let you just experience it as recorded without any weird embellishment at all, is really, in its own almost quiet way, very dramatic, very desirable. Let me offer a summary. The Solitaire P is an expensive headphone. It's $6,900, which is beyond the means of many of us. And because this is not a headphone that offers, in the usual sense of the term, a wow factor, in that it doesn't have characteristic X or Y or Z that's so spectacular that that characteristic alone draws and holds your attention. Because this is more of a brilliant all-rounder that only gives you as much as the recording has to offer, but also gives you everything the recording has to offer, I would say it would be a headphone that would make for a carefully considered choice. If you like the headphones get out of the way and let the music speak for itself quality, you might love it. Love it so much that you'll stay awake nights thinking how to scrabble together $6,900 so you can make a pair your own. If the profile of the headphone doesn't quite fit for you, you might hold off on making a purchase, but I guarantee if you hear the headphone over a wide enough range of material, I think you will conclude, as I have, that it is really quite excellent.